Askreddit on Reddit Rundown. What did the weird kid in your school do that you'll never forget? A new lad in my primary school pretended his real voice was a deep Scottish accent. At some point he found a piece of broken glass and used it to cut my friend with for some reason, and then we never saw him again. I'm from a small town. There was this weird kid who was a year older, but he was so weird that even the younger kids would pick on him. I didn't really know him, but I put him in the weird but harmless category. He graduates, and then decides to rob the local taco time with a shotgun. Well, it is a small town. The kids working at the taco time all know him, and pretty much everybody in the taco time also knows him. He got 2 years. Was in the band during some downtime. Some guy kicks off his shoes and socks and bites the ends of his toenails off. Most of the class casually migrated towards the other side of the room. 7th grade, guy didn't have a pencil for the test and the teacher wouldn't give him one. You need to be prepared, blah. Yeah, the dude took out a paper clip, straightened it out, stabbed himself, and started doing the test using his blood as ink. He was quickly sent to the nurse's office. Robbed a gas station dressed as a ninja, armed with a katana. Stole cash from the register, all the cigarettes he could carry, and a bunch of lottery tickets. He then fled across state lines with a 17-year-old girl. He was 19. Not a great result for him. A few days before a pep assembly, anonymously posted signs all over school that said the cock is coming. Teachers and school administrators were obviously concerned but clueless. Smuggled a live rooster into the assembly and partway through the opening speech at the assembly, whipped it out over his head as it went apeshit. Entire gym full of kids stood up and started chanting cock. 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 Was not seen at school for a few days after that. This girl decided she wanted to be pregnant. She proceeded to ask probably half the people in our high school if they would impregnate her, and then when that didn't work, she brought a Ziploc bag and asked for guys to jizz in it. Everyone called her Sperm Bank after that, and I honestly can't remember her real name. The weird kid in our school was part of our friend group, so 15 plus years later we still give him shit about it. During assembly one afternoon, a few weeks from ball or prom, he went up on stage while our entire year was filing into the auditorium and taking our seats. He was part of the AV club, surprise, so his responsibility was making sure the microphones worked, so nobody questioned why he was up there tinkering with the mic. Anyway, 90% of our year has come in at this point when he starts singing Jumper, by Third Eye Blind, over a karaoke version of the song he found on LimeWire, and he's changed the my friend part of the chorus to the name of the girl he wants to ask out to prom. He gets about halfway through the song before one of the teachers realizes it isn't a joke and gets up on stage to drag him out. Everyone is just sitting there going WTF. Half the kids don't know the song and the other half is wondering why he chose it to ask someone out. Turns out the girl he was asking wasn't even in the auditorium yet, so didn't hear his little number. He got detention for a week for being disruptive, but since then we just call him Jumper as a joke, but then it stuck and I don't think anyone in our friend group has used his name since then. Even during his wedding, you could tell who he went to school with since they'd ask where Jumper or Big J was. He stabbed me with a number 2 pencil in my collarbone area. I went to the hospital but they said I was fine. My stepdad said I would do anything to get out of school. Fuck both of those guys. My brother is a high school teacher and he once texted me that he caught a kid cutting his pubic hair in class. Another kid, not even from his class, randomly ran into the classroom, took some binders out of a bookcase and started jumping up and down on them. Then he ran out of the classroom again. We were getting DNA samples in biology. Most of the class used spit but he tried to squeeze milk out of his nipples. Milk. After that didn't work out, he attempted to get pimple fluid from his pimple. When the teacher noticed and questioned, he answered, "I got some out just this morning." This was when we were 14 to 15. Ended up in a mental institution because his parents bought him a new mattress, and while removing the old one they found multiple mason jars full of blood, no exaggeration 2 gallons total. There was a police investigation and turned out it was all his blood. His only answer as to why was, just in case. Dressed like the Queen of England, hair, shoes, and everything, from elementary to middle, then dressed like a doll for a year, Tried to hook up with everyone, got kicked off stage at a talent show for doing a burlesque routine, would work her sexual prowess into every oral report, and her last year she came to school 2 times in just a mini skirt and bra. I didn't know her personally at all, but I've kind of suspected she might have been sexually abused or something. Ate styrofoam, and then, visibly, lied about / denied it when someone pointed it out. Bits of styrofoam came out of his mouth. I had someone similar eat glue sticks in my first school. In high school I was talking to this girl and she'd been eating this cheese bread. When she finished it, she proceeded to eat the napkin the cheese bread had been wrapped in. Why? Because it tasted like the cheese bread. I was freaked out and walked away. There was this huge guy, tall and wide, in our classes. To support his impressive body, he ate a lot. He'd bring an entire roll of cookies, like 20 plus, and stack them on one side of his desk. Then he would take one bite out of cookie number 1, and put it to the other side of his desk. Then he would take 1 bite out of the next cookie and place that one on top on cookie number 1. He'd go through the whole stack, until all cookies were partially eaten and in a neat stack on the other side of his desk. Then he would do it again, take 1 bite of the top cookie and place that in the original side of the desk, bite the next cookie, etc. After maybe 15 minutes of biting and stacking, the whole lot was gone. Now we weren't even supposed to eat in class, but he always got away with it somehow. Cut his own hair while in class, mentioned that he would conquer the world with a revolver. Ended up setting fire to his house and was sent to a mental asylum. Pretty mild stuff. Pulled down his pants in the middle of a public bathroom and span in a circle while spraying piss everywhere and shouting around the world. So, there was a guy at our school when I was a freshman that everyone called Wolfman, who was weird in all the bad ways. He claimed to have superpowers, teleportation, Dragon Ball Z-like energy creation and whatnot. All the girls said he'd just stare at them if they had class with him. He hung around us freshmen and did his best to flirt with the girls. For an example of his flirting, he once told a girl that while astral projecting, he saw her face on Jupiter. Needless to say, girls stayed away from him. He graduated though, and his brother started at the school. Now, Wolfman wasn't a tall guy by any stretch of the imagination, maybe 5 feet at most, but his brother was a good foot shorter than him. He looked like he belonged in 3rd grade, he never got any taller. It didn't help that he always wore a child's Goosebumps jacket, that made people start calling him Goosebumps. He was even more convinced of his powers than his brother, but at least he was less sexually creepy, but that's all he had going for him. One memorable day I was in math class, and he started shaking violently. People ignored him, so he started flapping his arms around. Wondering if this was an actual seizure, the girl next to him put her hand on him and asked if he's okay. He growled back, "Take your hand off me, this power is too much to contain." She started yelling at him for faking a seizure and he went back to normal death stare forward, grumbling about his powers. Our weird kid and his girlfriend made a list of people in the school they wanted to rape and kill. Shit got investigated real quick, but I don't know what actual punishment they got. Edit, for everyone asking, no, I was not killed unfortunately. I also forgot to add that they put in detail exactly how they were going to kill everyone. Edit 2, I was speaking to my boyfriend about this and he told me that he was actually there when this all kicked off. They were speaking about it in a math class and him and his friends overheard it. They all started talking about it and it got out to the teachers, so sorry for any misinformation in the comments. There was this really mentally fucked up kid I could probably write a book about. He went through a phase where he was obsessed with JFK, printed out pictures of him and taped them to everything, his binder, truck, locker, etc. What happened but later that year all those pictures changed to pictures of Hitler. He referred to this as the time that the devil overtook him with evil. He did this same shit with William Shatner and a teacher at our school, but the bizarre satanic Hitler obsession takes the cake. He was also banned from the computers because the library lady caught him jerking it to porn. Humped my desk for a solid minute while maintaining eye contact with me, and then said, "Thanks," and just walked away. I'm a guy, this was 15 years ago, on my first day at this new school, and I was just eating lunch at my desk, and this dude just walked up and went to town. No context, no introduction, nothing. Didn't even buy me dinner first. Just wham, bam, thank you desk. Weird kid, Dan, was obsessed with cute girl, Casey, For several years. She rejected him for several years. On the bus to a field trip I sat next to him and he was drawing. I glanced over and he was drawing Casey falling off a cliff onto a patch of spikes below. Years later in middle school he also got super mad and threw a desk across the room in English. Not a small desk either. One of those that's a desk/chair attached hybrid. Just fucking yeeted it across the room. Was fucking terrified. There's a litany of things he did, but those stand out to me. One girl in my grade, at high school, so 4 years from age 12 through 16, cut herself to fill a vial with her own blood and wore it around her neck. Also wore cat ears and a tail to school and would chase people around meowing and hissing and trying to scratch them. She was fucking fast too, especially when she'd climb upstairs on all fours. In hindsight, maybe some psychological issues at play, but she wasn't ever part of the special needs classes, just a regular student like the rest of us, I guess. Edit, I didn't expect this to blow up lol. I can't respond to all of you, but hopefully I can give you some of the answers you seek. I have no idea what happened to this young lady after high school. Vanished without a trace. Did some Googling and Facebook stalking tonight, but no dice. No, I won't dox myself revealing my hometown. The town in question wasn't very large, but judging by the amount of people in the comments, a lot of schools worldwide had a student like this. Yes, she was seriously fucking fast. Like, you better get your skates on or she's gonna catch you fast. Yes, I realize she very likely had an issue that was undiagnosed at the time. I hope she got the help she needed. No, she was not hot. Many people have mentioned they've heard this exact story on here before. Apologies if you have. I've been a Reddit user for like 3 weeks, so like what's new and what's old. During my 6th grade graduation, our class sang a song. Weird kid is standing next to me on stage and suddenly projectile vomits and some of it landed on my shoes. Impressively, he still kept singing while I stood there wide-mouthed in horror and disbelief. I'll never forget all the gasps from the crowd. At an all-school assembly during my freshman year, a motivational speaker posed an easy rhetorical question to the crowd, and the weird kid in my grade unnecessarily shouted out the answer, to every bored person's sudden delight. For some reason, trying to maintain his authority, the speaker asked our weird kid, "What's your name, son?" Without pause, weird kid stood up from his chair and loudly proclaimed, "My name is Booger." This announcement was met with raucous applause and laughter from the entire student body. It was gloriously random and weird. From then on, the weird kid was known only as Booger in our small town. It fit him better than Sean, and he fucking owned that name until graduation. Naruto ran everywhere, told everyone her dad was Harry Potter, at age 12, and most memorably, came to school bawling her eyes out because she said she had laid an egg and her parents had eaten it for breakfast. This is going to sound ridiculous, but during my senior year of high school someone took a huge, and I mean inhumanly huge, shit in one of the girls' bathroom toilets that was far too big to be flushed away. Some kid mentioned seeing it, and in no time somehow the entire school was made aware and gathered around the bathroom trying to get a look at this monstrosity. Picture 50+ high school kids skipping classes just to try to squeeze into a small women's room to stare in awe at an infamous shit. The crowd got so big and unruly that the administration finally caught on and banned people from that particular hallway for the rest of the day under threat of suspension. I like to believe that all of us were that weird kid on that day. I remember once in high school we were on a school camp which included some low-level spelunking. About 60 of us had to squeeze single file on our hands and knees through a narrow part of the cave which was about 100 meters long. There was a small section about halfway along which opened up a bit to allow 2 people to sit shoulder to shoulder. Anyway, weird kid got to this section and decided he really needed to poop. Not sure what he had been eating, but it was a runny one. He was at the front of the column, so we all had the pleasure of crawling through the mess he made, because we'd come too far to turn back. Combine that with poor lighting and poor ventilation and we had a real mess on our hands. His desk was in front of mine in Japanese class. He would pop his back acne and eat the puss when he was bored. It was absolutely horrendous and people were pretty mean to him. But in hindsight his mom used to drop him off and handles of vodka and or beer cans would fall out of the car when he got out. He was probably just going through it, but in a strange way. He stabbed someone at a bus stop freshman year of high school. I don't think it was as intense as the rumors about it were, but he definitely had a knife and pulled it. He got expelled and sent to a high school for kids with behavioral/mental health issues. Senior year rolls around and he gets sent back to our high school. On the first day of school he shows up in a t-shirt that says Stabby is back. Legendary. If you like the video, give a thumbs up and subscribe. And check out other videos on my channel. Thank you and have an awesome day.